Hello, today's day 3 of the bait of Satan, overcoming offenses. The first day we talked about how Jesus said that it is impossible for offense not to come. And then the second day, Sister Darla covered that the true condition of our heart is key in determining if we will allow ourselves to become trapped by offense. And those two studies were amazing. And if you haven't listened to them, I recommend that you go back and listen to them today. But today, for day 3, we're discussing massive offense. How hard do we get offended? Who offends us the hardest? But first, I want to read Matthew 24, verses 10 through 13. It says, "And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved." And this is talking about the end times. This is talking about the time that we are in right now. We all know people who have been offended. We have all been offended by other people. And what jumps out of this verse, it says the love of many will grow cold. And so the love that it's talking about in this verse is the agape love. So the two types of loves that they talk about in this chapter is a love found among friends, or agape love, which is loving unconditional. And that is what it's talking about in this verse, is that unconditional love that we are supposed to show to our brothers and sisters, to our friends, to our family. We are supposed to show unconditional love, and that is what is going to grow cold because of the offenses that are going to come. And I want to read a section out of chapter 2 that really stuck out to me. And it says, you need to realize that when you sow the love of God, you will reap the love of God. And you have to develop faith in the spiritual law. And he talks about how God reveals to him what kind of love he's talking about. And it said, "In my greatest hour of need, my closest friends deserted me. Judas betrayed me. Peter denied me. And the rest fled for their lives. Only John followed from afar. I had cared for them for over 3 years, feeding them and teaching them. Yet, as I died for the sins of this world, I forgave. I released all of them, from my friends who had deserted me to the Roman guards who had crucified me. They didn't ask for forgiveness, yet I freely gave. I had faith in the Father's love." And I guess I've never really thought about it in that context. I've never thought about how Jesus was offended and how he still forgave. And that really pricked me. And as I was studying this and I thought to myself, do I forgive people the way that the true way that Jesus forgave people? And I can't say that I always have. I have held offenses. I have held grudges. I've justified why I was angry with people or why I was bitter towards people. But the worst thing that could ever happen to Jesus happened to him, and he still forgave them. And when I read this, it just blew me away. So, that's how God calls us to love people, and that's hard, and that's what we need to strive for. And the people that offended Jesus are the ones who were the closest to him. They were the ones that he devoted his last 3 years of his life to. He said, he cared for them. He taught them. He nurtured them. He provided for them as they went around ministering and teaching people. And then they just betrayed him. And so the people that offend us the most, or can hurt us the most, or the worst, I guess I should say, are the people who are closest to us. So if I read Psalms 55, verses 12 through 13, it says, For it was not an enemy that reproached me, that I could have borne it, neither was it he that hated me, that did magnify himself against me. Then I would have hid myself from him. But it was thou, a man mine equal, my guide and my acquaintance. So even, in Psalms, they're talking about how it wasn't someone just on the street that offended them. It was the person that they had went to church with, the person that they had become, really close to, really good friends with. That's who hurt them the most. And the reason that is because we have higher expectations for those who are closest to us. We set expectations for people. They don't meet those expectations, and we consider that an offense. When in all reality, if we're loving the way Jesus tells us to love, if we're loving with that agape love, there would be no expectation, because we don't love people expecting something in return. We shouldn't be loving people expecting them to do something in return for us. So this morning, as you go through your study and as you do your devotion, think about that. Think about the expectations you've set on people, and are they realistic? Do they mirror how you love them? Are you showing them that you love them unconditionally by setting those expectations? Or should you pull back, and should you truly just love people the way God calls us to, and avoid them not meeting those expectations? And then there would be no offense, because there was no expectation for them to meet. So I hope you all have a great day. I hope you're able to reflect on this word, and that it speaks to you this morning, and that it helps you to overcome your offenses.